All right.
And we are back. Buonasera a tutti. Good evening, y'all. We are back, episode 88 of What's the Scoop? Of course, Brandon Furtado and Jake Cruger back with us tonight. We missed you last week, Jake. Glad to have you back. And
Thanks,
a longtime
buddy.
friend of mine, somebody who knows inside and out about the Yankees' current and past, fellow NFC East fan. We've got a rival from the opposite side of last week's demolition, New York Giants fan. And of course, myself, Ryan SCOOP Woodhams, and then we'll be just looking forward to being on tonight with all y'all. Thanks, Greg Lobo, for joining us, my buddy up there, fellow Seton Hall Pirate. And before we start, I do want to say to Greg directly, I'll be the I'll represent our Eagles fans nicely. I'll represent us positively. I want to say congratulations last week, Greg.
Yeah.
We showed up in the Super Bowl. You guys showed in your version of the Super Bowl for the first time in 15 years. So congratulations, you guys. You guys really played it, took it to us tough last week. I want to say congratulations to you guys, Dart, Scadavo, and Neighbors. You guys have really got something going there, it seems.
That's cute how you say our version of the Super Bowl was beating the Eagles.
What?
All right, our version of the Super Bowl was in 2012. And
that's why I said over the last 14 years.
That was actually our version of the Super Bowl.
I know. That's why I said over the last 14 years.
Yeah, I was in sophomore year.
But anyway, well, Jay, you're also 7 years older than us.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway,
70, actually
7 or 70, give or take.
Yeah 70.
Anyway, so
7.
My joints say 70.
you know what? My joints right now probably say that I'd be your twin at that point because holy smokes.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are going to actually talk sports on this show. I promise. Just wanted to introduce everybody and welcome Greg to this panel. I've been excited to have him on for a while. He obviously, like I said, knows a ton about the Yankees, ton about NFC East, both Giants and otherwise. And you're going to see all that and more tonight. So with that all being said, what do we want to do first, guys? We want to start Yankees or we want to start Giants first?
Hold on. You mentioned NFC East. Fun fact. Every NFC East team has won multiple Super Bowls over a 5-year span.
That's really interesting. I hadn't even noticed that.
Is it?
Yes, even Washington.
No, I know Washington was great. The Eagles, because the Eagles went from 18 to 25. We went to the Super Bowl in 23 and then lost to Kansas City.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah, same here. It was just outside that, but still, I mean, to have that be the case, even for the other three teams, is something I wouldn't have noticed. Because again, I mean, the Giants,
because Washington is Washington.
Yeah, because Washington's Washington, and of course Dallas is Dallas. In fact, I think if I'm remembering correctly, didn't the Commanders have their run after Dallas did, or was it just before?
I think it was just before. I think it was it was like the 80s.
Okay, I always forget if it was the late 80s or late 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, late 80s would make sense actually, because now I think of Theismann and those guys. But so we'll start with the Yankees because we've got that's kind of I think what brought us all here right now. And I'll start with Greg just because I know he said he's got some specific thoughts he wants to say, and I want to let him get to them without prompting or without me sort of steering the conversation anyway. So, Greg, I'll give you the floor openly.
Okay, so I'm just going to outright say it. It is unfortunate. Well, it's a stupid argument, and we shouldn't be arguing about this, but unfortunately, we have to. But Aaron Judge is the MVP, and it's not close. And I would even say, I had gone back and forth on this. I had said we're witnessing the greatest MVP runner-up performance in the history of the American League. But I went through it. I don't even think that's true. I think what Aaron Judge did in 2007 was better. 2017.
2017, yeah, the one behind Altuve, yeah.
Yes.
That's a fair argument. I hadn't even thought of that.
All right, so I'm just going to go. All right, do we have any objections to that, or even like fake objections? Like, what is the argument for making Cal Raleigh MVP?
I mean, for a
Let's
while, it was his if it was anything, it was going to be his defense. But
then
when his
why was he
defense
not a Gold Glove finalist?
that was the next
Yeah.
thing I was going to say is
Yep.
that was going to say is that that argument was tarnished when he didn't. Now, to be fair, I will say I have a lot of issues with the Gold Glove voting in general year to year and how it's done. But if you're going to if it's the same people who are going to be voting on both awards, if they're going to say his defense is not even top 3 at his position, I don't know how they're suddenly going to turn around and say his defense gives him the MVP over Aaron Judge.
Yeah. You can't.
Because it's catcher defense. That's what John Smoltz said. Which, okay, I will grant that catcher is the only position. For me, catcher is the only position where I would consider defense. You know whose job it is to get the batter out? The pitcher. And it is the pitcher's job to either strike the batter out or pitch to contact that results in replacement level defensive plays that any defensive player can make. That you and I, Scoop, in our wheelchair and scooter, could probably do. That's the kind of defense I want. Or the kind of pitching I want.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but for a catcher, it's a little different because they call the game and they frame. But I'm not big on defense, just as a measure of a player. Ozzie Smith being a first ballot Hall of Famer makes me irrationally angry.
I remember that one.
And yeah, it's like so it's catcher, but it's also switch hitter. So, and I have a baseball reference, and I have a big reference tab open. So,
Yes.
I'm just finding the handedness split. Because
while you're doing that, do you
the
mind if I
whole
get to some of these
thing-
comments real quickly?
platoon split. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So real quick, Mr.
Yeah,
Osborne,
you can look the comments.
thanks. Mr. Osborne said, since I'll be at the game Sunday, the Broncos will beat the Giants. LOL. Have fun at the game, Mr. Osborne. Kurt says, "What's up, boys? Full panel. Have a great show. Go Broncos." Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate you being on, and have a great weekend. And Paula Kaufman, wow. Paula jumps in, a longtime family friend of ours. My mom and I have known Paula since I was very little. Want to give my best to her husband Ed, and their entire family. Paula, thanks. God bless y'all, and hope y'all are doing well. Appreciate you being on here. She is a Red Sox fan, and we've been, gone back and forth about that for since probably since I ever got my first cell phone. You know, so we always enjoyed. She worked at the place where my mom used to get coffee when I would go to school every morning. So I saw her more days than not. So Paul, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Greg, did you get that site working yet?
Yeah, I got it up. Now
Okay,
I know.
go ahead.
I know the answer to this, but now I know the answer to why this is, but why do switch hitters exist? What is the strategic advantage of having a switch hitter?
Because of facing against opposite handers, you're typically are an offensive advantage against, like, for example, lefty versus a right-handed pitcher, usually more often than not.
Okay, so, and Aaron Judge is right-handed, so his disadvantage would be against righties. Let me read to you what his
In
stats
theory,
this
yes.
season were against right-handed pitchers. In 518 plate appearances, 418 at bats, 89 runs, 137 hits, 23 doubles, 2 triples, 37 home runs, 84 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, 3 caught stealing, 87 walks. I mean, yes, he got most of his strikeouts, like the vast majority of his strikeouts against righties.
That makes sense.
123 versus 7, but 328 batting average, 446 on base percentage, 658 slug, 104 OPS, 275 stolen bases or total bases.
That's insane. Can I point out something that stood out to me with what you just said?
Yeah.
So you said 30s. You said from the right side. You said 37 home runs, right? And then did I hear you say 48 RBIs? My God, no one can get on base in front of Judge, and that stat just completely just shows why I can't stand RBI as a statistic, because 48 RBI makes it sound like Judge was a lot more impressive than he was.
No, did I say 48? I meant 84.
Okay, that makes far more sense. I was like, what?
Which is still, it's almost half of the RBIs. Almost half of the RBIs that he had against the right-handed pitcher were like his run from a home run. That's almost half. That's 37 out of 84. And from the left side, it was over half. Over half of his RBIs from the left side were his run from a home run. 16 out of 30.
Yeah, he's got a ton of instances where it's getting, and that I think is part of what people are holding against him is, solo homers, because again, he's just getting hits with guys who are not in front of him, because we were trying to hit Volpe in front of him, and then Volpe was terrible, and it was just one thing after another. You and I've been going back and forth. I want to see, Jay, you have any reaction to any of that, or anything you want to add on to what Greg's been saying?
Not to add on, I mean, literally to me, that the only thing that puts Cal Raleigh in the MVP conversation is, his status as a switch hitter, a switch hitting catcher, the fact that he has been doing something roughly not done. But to me, the moving parts are, a lot of it playing time and plate appearances. Remember, Judge was out for like 10 days. So, for me,
not only was he out,
the people
but even when he
who are
did come back,
Say that again?
he wasn't. Not only was he out, but when he did come back, he was still, I mean, I guess, quote unquote, limited.
Yeah.
I mean, not really limited because he's Aaron Judge, but.
And I don't think we should hold that against him, because nobody would hold that against Cal, honestly. So, honestly, It's a way and clear for me, the Aaron Judge MVP award this year. The only thing that stops that is the writers.
Yeah, the thing that I was going to say is, people are talking about Cal Raleigh being like the switch hitter thing the whole point I was making is that Aaron Judge being Aaron Judge is more valuable than Cal Raleigh being a switch hitter for the purpose of a switch hitter.
No, I know what you're saying now, and
it completely nullifies those splits. Completely nullify the purpose of a switch hitter.
Right.
Right.
The only other thing that I think people will hold against Judge, whether considered fair or not, is that in quote unquote higher leverage situations, Raleigh's offensive numbers were a little bit better than Judge's. So I think that some people are going to hold that against him. Do I think that ultimately derails his candidacy, or should it derail his candidacy? I don't think so.
I'm gonna see if that's true. I'm gonna go into Raleigh splits as well, because you can also do leverage splits on Baseball Reference.
That's what I was looking at. Judge's leverage, high leverage, weighted runs created plus was about league average, and Cal Raleigh's was significantly above that.
Well, does that also take into account the fact that, is Raleigh's guys, are those guys in Seattle getting on base for him when he hits? Because Judges aren't. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that plays into it.
Yeah, well, actually, and on the heels of you mentioning that, let me see how many times they even came up in quote unquote high leverage situations. Judge, it says, came up in 49 high leverage plate appearances, and let me pull that up for Raleigh real quick. I wish I had all this offhand.
I would assume Raleigh has to be more, because Seattle does not hit. Like, the Yankees hit a lot. Seattle does not really hit that well. Like,
how many high leverage plate appearances did I say for Judge?
49.
Okay, yeah, so almost twice as many for Cal Raleigh. He has 80.
Oh, so the numbers are completely skewed. So that doesn't matter.
Are you looking at Fangraphs? Because I'm looking at Baseball Reference, and it gives different numbers.
I'm looking at Fangraphs.
Okay, I'm looking at Baseball Reference, where it says 102 high leverage plate appearances for Judge, where he has a 325 average with 7 home runs and 26 RBIs.
Okay, they must define high leverage differently, and if that's the case, that's annoying.
That's why when it comes to MVP, I don't care about analyzing that deep stuff like that, because it's so skewed. Everybody's got different data.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like, so but even so, even with those numbers, Aaron Judge is still better. Like, yeah, overall, like, it's, to me, there's still no contest. I don't care that Cal Raleigh is a switch hitting catcher. I do not care. Aaron Judge is better in what's that whole thing that we said this whole year was, if Aaron Judge was average, he'd beat Cal Raleigh, which is true. If Aaron Judge was average, he'd beat Cal Raleigh. That ends the debate right there about who's the MVP. Like,
wasn't it basically in terms of, I forget what stat it was, OPS plus, I forget which player it is that it was like Aaron Judge has the same amount above Cal Raleigh in OPS as Cal Raleigh is to, and I forget which player it is.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
But it is an aggressively mid player.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And even, like, I pulled up StatCast because Baseball Reference versus Fangraphs was just irritating me. So I pulled up StatCast real quick, and we talk about defense, and we talk about value on defense. Aaron Judge, even for being a right fielder, his quote unquote fielding run value is only 2 below Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, they were about the same in terms of fielding value.
Yeah, so I think
But then at that point, what does Cal Raleigh do better than Aaron Judge? Damn near nothing.
Has a big butt.
Oh yeah.
I I think that's part of it. I think that there are just a bunch of people Big Dumper is a meme, and people want to give want people want to give Cal Raleigh the MVP, the meme valuable player.
I mean, valuable player.
And even then, when you think about it, right? Not even. It's like he doesn't even have the biggest dumper. Isn't that Giancarlo Stanton? Like,
I don't even
know.
Where are the analytics?
Oh please, I would love to see that. But
oh Lord.
But it's true. Like when you think about what each guy does, it's like, is Cal Raleigh having the greatest catching season in terms of power numbers, RBI, whatever, what have you? Yeah, but I mean, Salvador Perez had a really good year for the Royals that people just all of a sudden forget about. I think his numbers across the board were way better. Average. I think OPS probably not, but average. Well, a lot of things were better. When I think about it, I look at both guys, and even as a Yankee fan, to me, it's no contest. I don't think when you have a guy whose defensive numbers, especially in the second half, dropped off a cliff, more or less, and then you can't even make the argument about his defensive numbers when they're that close to Judge's anyway.
Yeah.
And when you're basically taking them at face value, more or less, offensively, there's nothing Cal Raleigh does better than Aaron Judge. There's not a damn thing he does better. And the thing is, with everybody's talking about, that Raleigh was going to break 62, he never did.
He didn't.
What?
What do they mean he was gonna? He didn't.
Yeah, because it's like, all we heard, with the whole chase when he was starting to hit a bunch of them in a row, especially towards the end, is always going to break 62. I'm like, he would have to go nuclear against the Dodgers to break 62, and he didn't. And what did he do against the Dodgers? He sold out for the home run that entire series. That's all he did. That's all he's been doing. He's been selling out for the home run every game since pretty much the last month of the season. Even in the postseason, he's been doing that. Aaron Judge hasn't. Aaron Judge's been the best hitter in the entire postseason out of anybody even still playing. So, I know it doesn't matter for MVP, but you're just saying as a whole, there is not a damn thing that honestly, to me, there's no argument for Cal Raleigh, not one. Even you could even ask, and you two know, Scoop and Jay, Rob and Shane, they're both Seattle Mariners fans. Even they said it's pretty obvious it's Aaron Judge.
You guys want to hear something funny? So Cal Raleigh. What do we hear? What do we hear about Aaron Judge all the time? Right? He's it's a Yankee Stadium home run merchant. Blah 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 blah. Statcast has a statistic that tells you home runs that would be a home run in all 30 ballparks. They call it no doubters. Cal Raleigh this year had one more than Aaron Judge, and of all of Cal Raleigh's home runs this year, if he hits all of his home runs if he hits all of his home runs in, it's not Safeco Field anymore, but the Mariners Stadium. I'm forgetting the name of it.
T-Mobile.
Thank you. It's 58 homers. If he does them all in New York, it's only 52 homers. So he got more home runs being a freaking Seattle Mariner than he would have been a Yankee.
Yeah.
Real quick, we've got some messages coming in from Mr. Burns, as always, watching from Cedar Hill, Texas. Mr. Burns, thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. I was supposed to be in Texas this past week, but didn't make it this time, but hopefully I'll get out there for the first time somewhat soon. And he says to Mr. Osborne, can't wait to see that game. Says, congrats to the WNBA champs. Yes, I got to see some of this, the Las Vegas Aces, proud of those girls. So anybody out there who's watching this and followed that, congrats to the Las Vegas Aces. I've got a good friend of mine who's been on the show before, who is connected to, I'm trying to think, the New York Liberty, I think is the franchise. And Clayton Heron says, smash that like button and share, guys. Mr. Heron, please finish the comeback tonight against the Dodgers. The world does not want a Dodgers Blue Jays World Series. We've been rooting for your Brewers. Please don't let us down. So that all being said, so I think we've spent a good amount of time emphasizing every possible way. Well, not every possible way, but many possible ways and possible angles to emphasize that, we believe Aaron Judge. I think we disagree on a lot of things on here. I think one of the things we very much agree on is Aaron Judge being the MVP. And like you said, we've got people that we've spoken to, whether it's friends or otherwise, who agree with that, who hate the Yankees. This is not for Yankees fans trying to, support our guy. It's literally just taking, and that's one reason why people say, oh, he's too analytical. Oh, he's too analytical. And no, the one thing data will do is it'll take your emotion out of it. It'll take your heart and your allegiances and your alliances and biases out of it.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, that phrase. But so I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. I did admittedly fall off somewhat watching the postseason after New York got bounced. But I'm gonna do better about that starting this evening. Now that I've got a little bit more time than I had in previous days. But so we wanted to address all of that, and then we wanted to talk a little bit about the Yankees offseason. Greg, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go to a couple of the other guys, and we'll bring you back in a second. Just want to get their thoughts a little bit. So we saw some turnover over the past week. Jay, you weren't on last week, so we haven't actually gotten to speak with you or hear your piece since the season ended. So I'm going to start with you because the people want to hear what Jay Cruger thinks of the Yankees' end of the season. Admittedly, maybe some of the emotion and energy maybe wore off in the last 8 days, but just give us your thoughts.
It did. Yeah, it did. And I saw it coming. And honestly, I don't know what moving Travis Chapman and Mike Harkey is going to do. I think I don't know how much of this is really on them, but I would have loved – I'm not saying that I was expecting Boone and Cashman to be fired because I'm never going to expect that.
No.
We can go for 0 and 162, and I still wouldn't expect that in the offseason. Hal being as checked out as he is. What would be nice is if somebody from player development goes, because it has more than come out that we develop people poorly and we play them with labrum tears when they should have surgery. I don't know what to make of the offseason. Let me get the obvious out of the way. You need to get Bellinger back. I think you need to get Grisham back. I'll even take Devin Williams back. Don't let me ever see Luke Weaver again. I think a couple more of the bullpen pieces that I'm missing. I even sort of believe in Camilo Doval in a very reserved circumstance for him to come back. So that being,
I don't think Doval's even a free agent, is he?
Basically all the guys that we brought over at the deadline, they all come with years on them, a year or two.
Yeah.
Well, all right, great. Well, there's that problem solved.
Yeah.
You're not, but now here we are coming up on the next season, and what's happening? We have the big three injured. Oh, and let's also account for a spring training injury that is inevitable. And of course, it will be somebody of substance. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't think it's a smart idea for Aaron Judge to not have surgery right now, because what's going to happen is the same thing that happened. God forbid, I don't want it to happen with Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
We're going to play him through it, and then at an inopportune time, he's not going to be available.
That was my biggest problem with, in theory, it's great news that, he doesn't need surgery. But in my mind, where it's like, if it's even close to 50-50 over whether he should have it, you've got 5 months now where you're not playing meaningful games. 6 months now where you're not
doing this.
I know.
We have the treatment. What is with our meta? Don't give me Travis Chapman and Mike Harkey. I don't know what they did wrong.
I don't even know who those guys are.
Fix the players. Get the medical staff out of here
Well, I couldn't tell which one just said I don't know what they do. I mean, Mike Harkey was the bullpen coach, so typically when your bullpen's that bad, that does make sense for him to be let go. Travis Chapman was not behind, but Travis Chapman was our main sort of infield and base running coach as well. So I do think those were moves that make sense.
Put over player dev and anybody clearly on the training staff.
That was the next point I was going to say is don't let it be the only thing that I see in terms of changing in the infrastructure, but I think that there are moves that should happen.
Yeah, let's start clearing out some of the timepieces that still exist on the board and have been there since the 1980s.
In fact, Brandon, do you? I don't know if you have easy access to it. Do you have easy access to that graphic you sent us like 2 weeks ago about everybody who's been there since the Clinton administration?
Clinton administration was there since Bush won.
Let me see. Yankees. I'm trying to get to it. Hold on.
No, I appreciate it.
I just got it.
I can't take the insults to the fan base's intelligence that this team consistently puts out.
Did you watch last week's show? Did you watch last week's show? Because I literally said that.
No, I didn't. It's just like Travis Chapman and Mike Harkey. Is that supposed to make me feel better?
So here's the 6 people in power and the most amount of power in our front office and how long they've been there. Brian Cashman has been with the Yankees since 1986. Gene Afterman has been there since 2001. And she's the assistant GM to Cashman. Michael Fishman, another assistant. They have 2 assistant GMs. I don't know why.
They use, and not just the Yankees. Most teams do this. They use the assistant GM title, but they cover different things. That's
what I figured.
Yeah.
But either way, Michael Fishman's been there. He's another assistant GM. He's been there since 2005. Tim Nehring, baseball operations, VP of baseball operations, has been there since 2007. Damon Oppenheimer, who's basically the scouting, the head of scouting.
He needs to go.
He's been there since 2001.
Oh, I thought it was 5. Wow, it's even longer than I thought.
Yeah, and Kevin Reese, who was the VP of player development, another big head of that, 2007.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is really bombed.
Yeah, I've been calling for. I mean, I think you guys have heard probably the name that I've criticized the most has been Damon Oppenheimer.
You don't know what I did there?
Yeah, I heard.
Oh my god! It took me a second.
I caught it. That was good.
Oh, that was good. I'm disappointed that I didn't catch it in time. But yeah, like just as an example for Brandon, you were asking why they have different. One thing I will say is I know that Tim Nehring is more involved with like international scouting, and I know that guys like Michael Fishman are more involved with like for lack of a better word, this isn't the best word to use, but for lack of a better word, the analytics wing. So and then Mr. Murphy said these are just scapegoat releases. I mean,
they are.
I don't think I wouldn't. I'll put it this way. I don't think they're just scapegoat releases. I think that they're moves that need to be made. I think that if they're the only moves that'll be made, I think that it's meaningless. I think that if you're going to make these moves, you have to follow them up.
Well, was it Luis Rojas is next? He's out of there, so he's got to be. I mean, the Orioles are interested in him as manager. I don't know why you'd want that numbnuts.
The Orioles want him as manager, and the Twins are reportedly interested in James Rosen, our hitting coach, to be their manager. So
that's fine. Take them both.
Like quite literally, they will be. Pardon me. Quite literally, they will be I'll start that sentence over. If they come back and the only coaches they've run it back with, and everybody's different, the only coaches they've run it back with are Aaron Boone and Matt Blake, I'll be totally fine with that.
That's an interesting point that Ed's bringing up here. Harkey got released. Why hasn't Matt Blake?
Who's the bench coach?
Brad Ausmus.
Oh yeah. Would you keep him?
I'll be straight up with you. I don't know what the hell he does.
I don't know. I mean, he's basically just the guy that takes over once Boone gets
ejected. Yeah,
like that's literally all I see him as. Is like I see him as basically well, two things. I
Which
saw him as
means we've
that.
seen him a lot, actually.
Yeah, well, but I also I see him. I saw him as somebody that if they felt we have to move off Boone, that he would be the sort of the next man up type of guy.
Idea. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying that's what I saw it as. I think that they wanted somebody with managerial experience in there. Quite frankly, I think we should not have let go of Phil Nevin. I think Phil Nevin was a bit of a hard ass that we needed in that locker room. I think that he, obviously he wasn't great as manager in Anaheim, but no manager has been great in Anaheim since they fired Mike Scioscia for whatever reason. So, I mean, working with Art Moreno is a thankless task that I think very few people would have the money to be able to afford to sign up for. But to go back to his question, why hasn't the pitching coach been released? I think, quite frankly, Mike Harkey had been there since 2008, with the exception of 2 years, which was the 2 years that he went to Arizona as, I want to say, the pitching coach in 14 and 15. So I think that was, again, I don't see it as a scapegoat move. I see it as a move where they just feel the need to bring in new blood, especially after such a poor year with that specific area of the team. Whereas Matt Blake, I think, can be credited with the turnaround of several pitchers, including Luke Weaver just last year. Clay Holmes, I think, is another example. I mean, again, I know some of these guys really fell off at the end, but they were some of the team's best pitchers for a while. And I mean, how many times have we all looked at a free agent or a trade and said, "Oh, get him with Matt Blake, and we'll see what," and we look forward to seeing what he can do. So, like,
Well, see, that's where I'm looking like the Travis Chapman one I understood because the infield just can't field, and then the base running wasn't great. So I get that. I mean, this is really Mike Harkey's only real bad season in terms of being a bullpen coach. So I'm like, that one I didn't quite get.
Well, I'll say this.
I think it's more on the players than Mike Harkey.
Well,
I don't think
we'll see. Here's the thing. I agree with you, but I've been saying that about everything. I've been saying that about the management. I've been saying that about just so many elements of this team. Like people have asked me 105,000 times, who do you blame more, Boone or Cashman? If I'm blaming one more than the other, it's Cashman. But that being said, and I'll use that to segue into I haven't done a parlay in a while. To Ed Murphy saying, just say Cash is fired. Who would you want as a GM that isn't a GM elsewhere? I certainly would take a look at Kim Ng, who is a former Yankee front office, who was in who was in Miami for a while until she left with Jeter because Bruce Sherman is a horrible owner. So Kim Ng is somebody who would come to mind for me. I'm trying to think. In a perfect world, I know people would love Theo Epstein. He's not leaving being a minority owner for the Red Sox to come be the GM of the Yankees. I'm sorry. So I'll mention that because I know people have brought that up before.
I keep hearing Dombrowski a lot. They keep bringing him.
Bro, literally the next thing I was going to say was a name that I would have gone to for a while was Dombrowski, but he's kind of floundered a little bit.
We already have a GM with no urgency.
But see, you're saying that, which is so odd because for the longest time he was managing as the most urgent general manager in baseball, like to the point where he was almost faulted. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
This kind of feels that this would probably be a move that would get a lot of criticism from the fans and probably not go over very well at first. Do you see if maybe there's something left for if he's brought up to a team with actual willingness to spend money and ability to spend money on a bigger level? Do you bring in somebody like a Jerry DiPoto? In terms of if you talk about aggressiveness and urgency, he's right up there with the best of them. I'm trying to think. But Yeah, because that, and you say because wasn't a GM elsewhere, so, and I just not accidentally, but I just kind of didn't answer that, and I gave you just two guys who were GMs elsewhere recently. But if I were to answer somebody who I know you'd have to reach out to another team and try and get a trade done for, which I don't even know how that would even work. But AJ Preller in New York would really intrigue me. AJ Preller in New York would really intrigue me. Anyway, and Mr. Murphy says, not gonna lie, I thought bullpen coach just meant answering the phone telling to get ready.
No, if you're going to I would say Preller is not the one who, if you're going to engineer a trade for a general manager, he's not the one you get. The one you get isn't going to happen because he's not going to leave the team he was a Hall of Fame player for.
Buster Posey.
Yes.
I don't know why it took me a second to get that. I was starting with the AL East and I was going division by division, so that was probably
I keep forgetting that he's out there. So every time I hear the name Buster Posey, I'm like, oh yeah, the Giants catcher. You know, like I keep thinking he's just retired.
Buster Posey is the best general manager in baseball.
I'll ask you to expand on that. Like, what have you seen from him so far that you like so much?
The Devers trade, like, what was that? Like, he's just like, I mean, I do feel like there was some level, and look, I respect the Red Sox doing this. I respect the timing of the Devers trade after the series of the Yankees, but just what that trade was, and it's like, okay, even if it doesn't work out, it made Red Sox fans mad. So I appreciate it.
Well, it's funny to me because in the very beginning, I thought, oh, Posey heist. But then you got to go back and look because the trade was consummated on June 16th or somewhere in that vicinity. And then after then, the Giants, they went 40-50. The Red Sox went 51-37. So yeah, man, made them mad. But the Red Sox were actually 10 games better than the Giants over the rest of the season.
They used it as rocket fuel. After that point, the Red Sox got better.
It felt almost like they almost dropped dead weight out of their team. Like, yeah, I mean, trading a franchise superstar is never. But even before they traded him, they made it sound like, they made it sound like Jaron Duran was already being looked at as like the real team leader and not Rafi Devers. And then since you mentioned Boston, I'll bring this up. It makes it really intriguing now that they don't have Rafi. Now that the fact that Alex Bregman's going to be opting out and becoming a free agent, I'm very curious to see what the corners of their infield look like next year.
Well, I mean, like, I'm also glad you mentioned Jaron Duran because Jaron Duran is someone who you say as a leader. Jaron Duran is someone I think of very, very, very highly.
Yeah.
Even just like you look off the field, like his leadership in talking about his personal struggles.
Yes.
Like, I was like, that is such a fundamentally decent thing to do.
Yes.
Like, and taking a leadership role, like he is leading there. And I think that also translates to on the field. I just think very highly of Jaron Duran and his character.
I do as well. And I know that, Jay and Brandon and I have spoken about that as well. Mr. Burns says, such a wonderful guy. Prayers to his family and everyone with pleasure knowing him. Rest in peace, Heisty. Oh, says the Orioles are saddened to learn of the passing of Greg Heist, veteran sports broadcaster who covered the team for more than 35 years. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know a ton about him, but I do know that he had a significant place in Baltimore history, and that's unfortunate news. Thank you for sharing that with us. Mr. Burns. Also, since I know we have a lot of sports music crossover, I was going to wait a little bit to mention this. You guys probably already have heard of it from on the music side of things. Unfortunately, right before the show, we learned that longtime Kiss member Ace Frehley passed away as well. So yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Man.
So
2025 needs to chill, man.
For real. I got one comment here from Mr. Murphy said, "Can Bregman play shortstop in the Bronx?" In a word, no. I'm not comfortable bringing a third baseman over and asking him to suddenly play shortstop.
No.
Especially one that we absolutely despise.
Oh, I wouldn't care if he came over because at that point he'd be helping us and not helping the Astros or the Red Sox.
We'll see. See, here's the thing: if he's gonna help us, I don't think asking him to play a harder position in his 30s is going to be the way to do it. So
yeah, exactly.
And on top of that too, if you're gonna shoehorn him into third base, I mean Ryan McMahon's a great defensive third baseman. So you're already like Bregman's got the bat. Yeah, I understand that, but.
Yeah, but it's also, and this is what I keep emphasizing. We've gone so ground ball heavy with pitching. We need a good fielder at that position.
Yeah,
like everyone.
Caballero's still with us for another year, though, right?
Yep.
At this point, I think at this point I'm going into next year. I'm very strongly considering him being our number one shortstop. I think that there's a genuine race to be had, for lack of a better word, between him and Volpe for the shortstop position.
Especially with Volpe not being able to start right away. Caballero's going to be the opening day shortstop.
Wait, hold on. Which position are you referring to? Short or third? Where are you saying we need a great defender?
Both.
Well, I think it's true for both, but I meant at third base.
Okay, I disagree. And the reason I disagree is that when we're getting Cole back, when you have a rotation of Cole, Fried, Rodon,
yes,
Schlittler, and whichever of Heel or Warren is going to be the fifth.
Yeah.
Then you know how you get batters out? You strike them out.
I agree with that, but three of the guys you just named are not strikeout heavy pitchers. Max Fried's never been a strikeout heavy pitcher. And when Garrett Cole comes back from Tommy John surgery, we don't know what he's going to look like strikeout rate wise. Half the guys that you just named who are going to be in our rotation are not some of the particularly great strikeout guys, and that's why and we saw prime example. I mean, we look back to the Dodgers last year. They knew, put it on the ground and let the Yankees screw it up basically. Now again, I know we've gotten some new pitchers since then, but some of the same ones are still there, and most pitchers don't suddenly become better strikeout pitchers as they get older. Real quick, Mr. Murphy said ground ball pitchers, LOL, look like fly ball pitchers in the AL. Yeah, I know, we all watched. But unfortunately, yeah. So, but I mean, but even last year, all the guys had to do was like they said, put the ball on the ground, and it was interesting because, and this is what I'll say for the people who like to bang on, data and analytics or whatever. Did they listen to what the Dodgers, had said over the course of time after the fact that we knew how they were going to line up defensively. We knew how they were going to line up in the infield. We knew that they were going to play us this way or that way. So what do you think that is? That's analytical information that they have. That's information that they're using. And that's why I say the issue is not analytics. The issue is knowing how to use or what to use or when to use. And, so that was the Dodgers just outsmarting us. So don't tell me that the non-analytical teams are doing better than the Yankees. I would move Hill to the bullpen if we can get another starter. I completely agree with that, Mr. Murphy. I think his stuff will definitely play up in the bullpen. I could see him becoming almost like a Chad Green type of guy that we can throw 2+ innings if we need it. Probably won't be back as the team is leaning on the new kids to lead the way. I'm guessing he's referring to McMahon there. I don't agree with the fact that he won't be back though.
Well, but McMahon's under contract, so he can't.
Yeah. So that would be unless we traded him or DFA'd him. I think neither makes that much sense. I personally would add Bregman to help bridge the gap, but I worry about him and Story not breaking down.
No, this is for the Red Sox. I don't know, but it seems like it's for the Red Sox that is being referred to.
Oh, now that I feel like I could read it either way. Actually, yeah, Mr. Burns, why don't you clarify that? Because depending on how I read it, I can read it either way, honestly.
I think it said keeping Bregman.
Oh, yeah, I would personally keep Alex Bregman to help bridge the gap. So between the new...
But I worry about him and Story not breaking down. Okay, you know what? Yeah, good catch, Greg. That was good catch, because I was completely reading it wrong. Man, that was... Yes, it is for the Red Sox, he confirmed. Okay. Good catch there, Greg, because I was completely...
I had to reread that like 5 or 6 times.
And I was like, can I just not comprehend English at this point? That's going to be great for the other show later on. But where it's literally become... Greg, you'll appreciate this. It's literally become a running thing week to week that they will keep track on this other show that we dude in the bottom sleeping.
I'm the one keeping track.
Yeah. Jay's been caught napping, literally.
No, I'm still awake.
No, I know. What happened is your camera froze a little bit for a moment ago, and it looked exactly like you had dozed off. But no,
I think everything froze. I didn't even hear that. Did your camera take a nap?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Freaking cat. It's like week to week because Brandon and I do another show, Football After Hours. We do it after the Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night games with 2 really great guys in Coach Shane Hansen. I almost said Shane Steichen, and Rob Shalowski. So the 2 great football minds.
Speaking of Shane Steichen, do we want to talk about the best quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with.
Well, I was gonna say, wouldn't that be Baker Mayfield, not Daniel Jones? I think Daniel Jones is probably second right now. I think Baker's better.
I could not believe what the heck. And here's the thing. All respect for what Daniel Jones has done, because obviously it's been fantastic for the Colts. The stuff that Baker has done, missing so many guys on his offense, is insane. He just, it's one thing for guys to get better with your arm talent or more accurate or one thing or another. He's gotten more mobile and he's gotten better with his legs, which is just weird to see as a quarterback approaching 30.
He was never like that in Cleveland too.
No.
When I remember Baker rushing in Cleveland, it was like he was slow, really slow, and I'm like, okay,
and then he would try to go, Frazier versus Ali against a strong safety, and I'm like, bro, that is not going to work out for your 5'10" ass.
And it's funny because now he's blowing up. Before he would get, in Cleveland, he would get blown up by those guys taking a nasty hit. Now he's the one blowing him up.
He had that one run, I think it was in the last game, where he just ran somebody over.
That's what I was referencing against the 40 Winers.
He's had 3 or 4 of them this year where he's done that.
Yeah, but just in the game against the 40 Winers, he did it multiple times that I saw.
Yeah.
Real quick, Mr. Burns said, I like Bregman for his leadership. I'm just not going to comment on that one. But the team needs pitching like a quality number 2 starter. Mr. Murphy says, set up a cat cam Scoops so she can be part of the show. LOL. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I don't know how that would work, but I'll think about it. DJ has an O-line finally, and then Mr. Burns says, wow, Daniel Jones has really impressed a lot this year. I completely agree with that.
See, you know what I think? You know what I think it is with that though? It's the same thing when people were doubting Jalen Hurts after 2021, and Shane Steichen finally took full control of the Eagles' offense. What happened? He blossomed. The offense blossomed. They all played well. What's Shane Steichen got in Indy? good O-line, a quarterback that's been, kind of taken out of the equation, in people's minds, a few good weapons.
I don't think taking out of the equation is fair. I think he's been kind of considered down and out based on his circumstances.
Basically both in going into 2022 and now going into this year, both Jalen at the time and now Daniel Jones. Oh, they can't throw the ball. All they are is runners. They can't do this, that, or the third, whatever it is. And but what happened? Shane Steichen turned Jalen Hurts into a Pro Bowl, into a MVP runner-up, which I thought should have won MVP that year. And then, what's he doing with Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones, if he's not going to be the MVP, will probably end up being as of through 6 weeks. Is the runner-up for MVP. So. Jonathan Taylor is looking great again. He started to show, that last year, but this year is looking, he's on pace, I think, to even better than what he was last year. They've got a great tight end in Tyler Warren. Like, everything that worked in Philly the first time around in the end of 21 and all the way through 22 is the same thing that's basically working in Indy now in 25. And, Shane Steichen, that's one of the reasons why even after, 22, that was why I at the time I was like, man, I wish we would have found a way to keep Shane Steichen no matter what, because I loved his offense and I still do.
That was the frustrating and unfortunate thing, was just it's long been a thing in the NFL that when you have good coordinators and good whatever, they get promoted by other teams. It seems like we're potentially about to see that with potentially multiple coaches off the Yankees, which astonishes me. I do not know what they're seeing. But
well, you know what it is though, Scoop. It's like what Shane and Rob have pointed out to me too is that in order for you to keep, or more often than not keep, a coordinator, you have to find one that was like a former head coach that was like, they might be not a good fit for a head coach, but they're a good coordinator,
like Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, because those are the guys that usually stay. Like,
that's a really good point, and one of them said that last week. I can't recall who it was. It was probably Shane. Shane. I learned a lot from Shane. I'll say that. Shout out to Shane Hansen. And we'll use that to kind of segue into the NFL side of things a little bit.
I would say, just the two guys I would say, the guys you're referring to is on the defensive side, that's Steve Spagnuolo. He has been, I don't know if you can make the Hall of Fame just on coordinator stuff, but if that were a thing, he would do it. But we saw him as a head coach in, I believe, St. Louis in, I forget which year it was, but
a while ago. It was a long while ago.
But I think it might have been like the 08-09 season, like immediately after he won the Super Bowl with the Giants the first time, I think. But and again, it turns out he was terrible at being a head coach. And on the offensive side of the ball, that guy is Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has been the Patriots offensive coordinator, then become a head coach, sucked, then gone back to being the Patriots offensive coordinator, then become a head coach, sucked, and then gone back to being the Patriots offensive coordinator. He has been the Patriots offensive coordinator 3 different times.
And the offense looks great under him.
Yeah.
So, especially with, they don't, when you think about what the Patriots have now, it's like, they're not scoring a ton of points, but Drake May looks good. Stephon Diggs looks decent. Not every game, but looks decent. They get the most out of what they have. Hunter Henry's not bad. They're missing kind of a running back. Ramondre Stevenson is a fumble machine, but they definitely need that part figured out. The line's not great. So like, when you look at what they have, I mean, they're getting a lot out of what they have. They're getting it done. I mean, they had a good game against the Bills. I mean, the Bills defense isn't great, but they had a good game against the Bills, division rival, was top dog in that division. They basically dethroned them now because now they own the head to head. So now the Patriots are first in the division, which we didn't think would happen at any point this season. So. A lot of it, I always thought he was a good offensive coordinator. I mean, they won with him a lot, even when Brady was there. So some guys are just meant to be coordinators, and some guys are just meant to be head coaches. Like, I mean, if you look at Vic Fangio, everybody says like, oh yeah, his Denver run wasn't great. I'm like, yeah, he's not meant to be a head coach, defensive coordinator. What happened to defensive coordinator? He fixed Miami. Miami complained about him because I think the players are kind of soft in Miami, but they complained about him, and then they Philly, where he's close to home, wins the Super Bowl, #1 defense in the NFL. So, some guys are just meant for that, and some guys aren't. Like that's why right now, when you're looking at the two coaches that everybody keeps talking about the last week or two that are on a dangerously hot seat, even though I don't think one of them should be, it's Stefanski and it's Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of the same thing there. We got to see which one, both of them will probably get jobs, but it's just which one's going to pan out more. I lean towards Stefanski.
I do too, but I think it's just because I've seen him do more with less.
That's what
yeah. Like, I mean, Cleveland for a while had some really talented, offense, but some of the best work I saw him do was with freaking Joe Flacco at quarterback, and after they lost Nick Chubb. Like,
yeah.
But pardon me. Also, real quick, as far as the Yankees are concerned, 2 new coaching pieces of information. We already knew this, but just confirmation that Jake Hurst, one of their minor league coaches, is being moved up to an assistant role with the current Yankees staff. The current Yankee staff is also parting ways with Pat Rossler, who was one of the assistant hitting coaches. The one name that we have learned that is expected to return is bench coach Brad Ausmus, and the 2 guys who are undetermined, who have club options for next year, are not just pitching coach Matt Blank, but also catching coach Tanner Swanson. So there's a little bit of information there. Not major news, but notable nonetheless.
Now, and just another thing, just to go back, you mentioned Mike McDaniel before. Mike McDaniel is the Aaron Boone of football.
Please explain that, because I don't get that.
Aaron Boone of football. There are 2 things. One is the over-friendliness with the players, and number 2 is the mismanagement of injuries. Tua should not be playing anymore. That's
actually an interesting take.
Yeah.
It's the over-friendliness with players and the mismanagement of injuries and the failure as a consequence of that. But the difference is Aaron Boone makes the playoffs. Mike McDaniel doesn't, because the New York Yankees are the New York Yankees and the Miami Dolphins are not the New York Yankees.
I was gonna say, I think to me, wouldn't more of an accurate, coaching, NFL coaching comparison be the Niners with Kyle Shanahan? Because he's friendly with his players. They do make the playoffs. They do get to to the NFC Championship game, or they get to the Super Bowl. They never win it, and their injury management is poor, and it's mostly the same things. So if I'm comparing anybody to Boone, I think it's Shanahan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm also not sure if player friendliness is really the albatross that everybody thinks it is. I mean, he's friendly for what we knew. We don't know if they're not flipping tables in the locker room.
Yeah.
On either McDaniel's or Boone's parts.
Well, to be fair, and this is what I'll always say, and people don't want to hear it, but I'm going to continue to say it because I still believe it. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know what's going on. No one has been in there with a video camera to say this is what goes on behind closed doors. Everybody seems to think that they're all, pussyfooting around and, eating strawberry ice cream and whatever. That to me is an unfair.
Right now.
Who's they talking about?
I said I'd love some ice cream right now, not strawberry, but geez, that sounds so good. That sounds good.
I live in the deep south. Ice cream sounds good about 365 days a year, but 366 every 4 years. But excuse me. But so that is the one thing I'll say. I agree with a lot of the juxtaposition that you made on McDaniel versus and Boone, much more than I initially gave thought to. But that is the one thing that I think that I definitely think that he should have just been more. He could deal with being just more straight up in press conferences at times. I think sometimes fans, and that goes back to what I said last week, and then Jay apparently said it also today without even having seen last week's show, where I said, don't insult my intelligence. And it kind of feels that way, like, sometimes when you're listening to not just Boone, but the whole Yankee, anybody in the Yankee operation kind of feels that way sometimes. And then Brian Cashman came out today and basically released a statement and said, yeah, it probably would have been better for Volpe to not have, but his injury to not have been handled the way that it was. And I was like, I appreciate you being honest, but you're still an asshole. Like
that's like when I was hearing Cashman speak today, I'm like, do you say anything other than the same cookie cutter 3 responses that you say at the end of every single season, every year? Like, he starts out saying, oh yeah, our ultimate goal was to win the World Series and we didn't do it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. You say it every year. What are you gonna do to fix it?
Like, well, I'll put it this way. I will put it this way. I'm not going to go so far as to defend him on that, but what I will say is, just by sheer law of math, when you're somewhere for a longer period of time, you're going to have more likely to repeat some things you've already said before, because again, there's only so much you can say. And this is why I hate press conferences in general. You know what you just saw on the field. Why are you asking us questions that what answers you're going to get? Like, what do you expect me to say? Why they're asking, why is Anthony Volpe's swing so off? Am I Anthony Volpe? Go talk to freaking Anthony Volpe.
Like that's what I hate too. Well, I mean, that's just one of the things I hate too. It's like, being a journalism major, I hate bad journalism. Stop asking the one thing you are told in journalism class. One of the first things you're told is the worst thing to ask is just to keep asking the same question over and over and over again. Like it's a faux pas in journalism to keep asking the same things over and over, and yet people in these jobs keep asking the same 3 to 5 questions every single press conference, whether it's the end of the season, whether it's after game 162, or it's at the end of the postseason. It's the same damn thing, and I can't stand it. Like,
I think there are a few players in the league, and I shouldn't say in the league, I should say across leagues, where the press conference is valuable. Garrett Cole is one of them. Garrett Cole is one of them, and I think who are other players and coaches, like especially players, who you think have the most valuable press conferences in terms of analytics? Because like if you listen to Garrett Cole speak at a press conference, you're probably going to learn something about pitching that you didn't know.
Exactly. And he's a manager now. Yeah, I think he's managing for the White Sox. He's not playing anymore, but a name that I'll throw out there, which is a little bit of a past name now, but Will Venable.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's interesting that you're mentioning a player who gives a valuable press conference due to the analytics of it and the intelligence there, and now he's a manager. And the other player, this isn't in Major League Baseball, and is LeBron James. Like what we see LeBron James do sometimes is he will analyze like a 5-play sequence
Mhm.
and just like remembering all of it, and it's like, how did you do that?
You know what it reminds me of? They're not press conferences; they're podcast episodes. But it reminds me of when I go on and I like, let's say it's the herd, or let's say it's whatever, and people like Peyton Manning will go on, or people like Drew Brees or whomever will go on,
Yes,
and
quarterbacks.
but not just quarterbacks. They just happen to be the first two names that I thought of. But like they'll go on and just like high IQ guys. Oh shucks, just like high IQ guys in general. Sorry about that. Where they will go back and they'll say, "Oh yeah, we ran." Oh well, Belichick obviously being another. Oh we ran this play and then we ran that play and then we decided to do this because they were in this formation or whatever. And the game was like 19 years ago, and I'm just like, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, and you're sitting here rattling off the exact sequence of plays you called in a game that was that was probably 400 games ago for you.
Yeah, I think it's crazy when guys do that.
Just to be able to store that much information, just in general, is insane. To think back, to something like that, especially like even with when LeBron does it, like to have it where it's like he just got done playing a game, he's tired, he's played 40 plus minutes, like, and he's still able to just remember something that happened in the second quarter, like with 5:36 to go in the second quarter. It's like I often wonder how some guys do that, because it's not just him, but it's just so many guys do that.
Yeah, and that's like people talk about how these guys are just they're athletes and one thing or another, and I think it gets understated sometimes, and I think it gets honestly disrespected sometimes how truly intelligent you have to be in it's to be some of these guys. I think people look at athletes and they're like, oh, all they know is football, nothing else. But it's like, okay, but do you understand how mentally gifted you have to be what some of these guys are at their sport? Just because they're doing it in a way that's where it manifests more in a physical space, that does not mean that they are mentally, no disrespect to him, but mentally come off like a Cam Scatabo type. Like it's like they just have so much concentration and a detail orientation, attention to detail, where it's well, in fact, I mean, we're talking about intelligence. I mean, I'll talk about the guys sitting right ahead of me here. How many times, Greg, you'll send me your what the hell are they called, the baseball immaculate grids, and like you're naming guys who haven't played a game since the Toledo Mud Stockings or whatever they were called in the late 1800s, and I'm like, who the hell knows who these people are? Their own descendants don't know who they are.
Well, I will say that my wheelhouse in baseball actually isn't that. I can name like Hall of Famers from that era, from like the 1800s, but my wheelhouse for just naming like random players is the 2000s. And I think it's the same with you when they're Yankees. Like I know we sometimes do a game where I will show you a player's baseball reference page.
Yeah, you'll show me the baseball reference page, and like if I'll see a Yankees year, I'll like think back to like what was like the general of what that year was, and then like I'll see one other team, and then almost immediately I can get it.
Yeah, like some of the ones like it wasn't Eric Kratz. Oh, it was Travis Ishikawa.
Travis Ishikawa, yeah.
Jeez.
Who was one of the players we named.
Yeah.
Like Stephen Ridings was one of the players we named.
I think my lowest immaculate grid score, actually I saved it on my phone. The lowest score I ever got, I did it with someone else, but we kind of split the names, 50-50. We
How
got
do you split a 9-player grid 50-50?
basically we kind of came up with them together. Like so maybe
okay.
one of us got 5, one of us got 4, or whatever it was.
Okay.
But we actually I thought of probably maybe 6 of them, whereas he thought of maybe 3. But our score was a 7. That's how low we got.
That's impressive.
That's cute. I've gotten 2.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like, I know people that do the Immaculate Grid and they get like a 30-something or 40 something. They're like, oh, that's low. I'm like, no, it's like you gotta be under 10.
Yeah, no, like it's like I'll go back to like some of the older ones and I'll try and do the what'll always catch me is it'll be like the out of position ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like has played 1 inning at third base.
Yeah, that's the key. That is how to get a low score is when it's played at, again, say third base. Like, if he has played at third base at all, ever, but he
Right, but
is not
like,
a
but
primary
like,
third
I'm
baseman.
not going to remember like we were up 20-7 against a team in 06, so Jorge Posada played third base for 2 innings. Like, I'm not going to remember that shit.
No, but like pitching, you remember like the position players have pitched.
Yeah, I remember. I remember like we had Dwayne Wise pitching in I want to say 2013 or so. We had excuse me, sorry. I know Brendan Ryan pitched at one point. I'm sure I'm not going to spend a ton of time thinking about it, but those are the first 2 that just came out of my mind.
Obviously, IKF, Trevino.
Yeah, I was gonna say those guys. Yeah.
Those are probably the most obvious ones.
Yeah.
Not for the Yankees, but Jose Reyes pitching was memorable.
I didn't even remember that.
I'm trying to think now. Now I'm trying to think of position play, like for different teams, position players that pitched.
I think Michael Young might have done it once.
Michael Young, holy crap! There's a throwback.
Yeah.
Michael Young. Okay, the thing about Michael Young is you look at his stats. Like his stats, it's borderline Hall of Fame, but his WAR is 24.2.
Here, that he must have been an atrocious defender then, because let me look. Michael Young.
Well, we consider and do a hall of very good or borderline Hall of Famers all day because there's so many guys.
Yeah, well, but that one in particular is just kind of like I got to see why that was the case. Because what position did he play again? I don't even remember.
Second base, or it was second base or shortstop.
Yeah, he played middle infield from what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me look. Yeah, this
was 24.7.
Yeah, and then according to Fangraphs, 25.3. But I do know that there's a little bit of different calculation there. But regardless, they don't have him as anywhere near a Hall of Famer. And I'm looking to see. Okay, yeah. So this kind of makes sense. He had 81 errors in 777 games, which you really can't do as a middle infielder.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Why was his OPS plus only 104?
Man, what are you talking? I'm trying to see where you're looking.
Wait, I'm interested. You guys are pulling me in.
How many? What stats were you throwing out to me? Like that you said. That you said
Michael Young.
Hall of Fame. Because all I see is the 300 average and the 346
his
OBP.
Career stat.
He had 185 homers, which is not that
2,375 hit. It's not that.
Yeah, but he also played a lot of
bad for a middle infielder.
Well, it's funny. His teammate Ian Kinsler was better. When you think about it, he was better.
Yeah, well, it's like I'm looking right now. Like, yeah, he played almost every game for 11 seasons, but he had 185 homers. He had 90 stolen bases. He had an OPS of 787. Like, none of those are home run numbers. And then you add in poor middle infield defense. I mean, hang on. We're going to get some comments real quick. Mr. Burns says, fellas, I want to sound off on the Cubs losing to the Brewers. Sorry, y'all, but the Brewers will lose the World Series. I just want to see the Dodgers get this World Series over the Blue Jays. I agree. Yes?
Okay, so yeah, maybe you're right about Michael Young. The one that makes me really mad, like, I know I say Ozzie Smith being a first ballot Hall of Famer makes me irrationally angry.
Yeah, that threw me off because he
fell off of his first ballot.
Carlos who?
Delgado.
Carlos Delgado fell off of his first ballot.
Here, I'm pulling him up real quick. First baseman, 473 homers.
And he was never implicated with the roids, was he? I don't think so, right?
No.
470.
No, that's the thing.
Well, that's why I get pissed, when not just with Delgado, but guys that have roughly over 2,000. Like Bernie Williams to me should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no reason Bernie Williams is not in the Hall of Fame. Like Bernie Williams should be in there.
Jorge Posada should probably be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'd put him in there too. Especially because
I literally forgot for a second that Posada wasn't in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, we can even go through just with Yankees alone that could have been there.
But fellas, they still have to do their job, or else they wouldn't get paid. Mita should know by now that they're not going to get the. So he's talking about the reporters basically. With the when we were criticizing the questions they were asking.
Well, you know what it is though, to respond to that, and as a reporter, you're as someone who's been around journalism for a long time, they're not holding you by the only way I can describe this. They're not holding you by the balls to make you ask basic questions. You just have to find a way to ask it in a way that A, makes sense, and B, that you're not restating the obvious. That's one of the worst things you can do as a journalist is to state the obvious. And that's what a lot of these guys are doing. So, you have to do it pretty much in a way where if it's the same question, at least make it sound fresh, or you can ask a different question. Just don't go off the rails with it. Like, there are ways to do it. Like when I criticized, and Scoop and I both kind of have, when we criticized Meredith Marakovits and her softball questions that she gives every single Yankees game, she opens up with a softball question, or most of her questions are softball questions. And it's like, okay, but I kind of get that, you're employed by the team more or less. You work for Yes. So it's like, you're not going to really have anything crazy to ask. But I came up with about, and I told Scoop and Jay this, but I came up literally with another way to ask that same question in a more hard-hitting way that was not going to offend Boone or whatever it was to ask that question that way. But I came up with a better way to ask it, a more hard-hitting way to ask it, and I came up with a better way to ask it in 20 seconds. It's not hard. You just have to figure out a different way to do it. Like, it's something that if you're not around journalism, if you're not around media, then you don't, you're not going to kind of think of it. But for me, because I have been, I can think of I've done plenty of interviews before. It's not hard to ask the right questions to ask the right hard hitting ones, but in a respectful manner. It's not a hard thing to do. It really isn't. You just got to be smart when doing it.
You got to what? What was the thing you said? You what?
You got to be smart about how you go about it. That's all it is.
What I wonder is if people are like, sports are less important than politics or current events. So the journalists who are bad journalists get relegated to sports. I wonder if that's a little bit what it is.
I mean, we've seen reporters kind of go both ways, where it's where a couple guys that now work for Fox. It was like Will Kane. He used to be an NFL guy, I think. and now he's doing.
He's on Fox News.
Yeah, he's on Fox News now, so it's like
Like Jason Whitlock.
Yeah.
Jason Whitlock works for the Blaze.
Like I'm trying to think of I know that there's been a few that have gone both ways, that from politics to sports or sports to politics, but it's always the good journalists.
Nate Burleson.
Yeah, Nate Burleson. See, I like Nate Burleson. Nate Burleson, he was he thought of like fun ways to maybe ask the same question. Like he's a former player. He's been around the game. He's also he's not afraid of shying away from maybe something that's a little bit harder hitting. Like that's why I like it. And it's like, those are the reporters that have my respect. I don't like
Michael Strahan.
Yeah,
like Michael Strahan. Like there are like various things that I disagree with Michael Strahan about, but I respect him. I think he's a good journalist.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I fall. Where it's like I look at, there's certain guys where it's like I hated them as players, but they're really good journalists, and vice versa. But there's also a lot of bad player journalists that I've seen that like work on ESPN. I'm like, wow. I'm like, why are we giving this person a microphone? Or why are we giving them a
Ryan Clark?
I almost went off on one last week with when it came to the Eagles, and just the general coverage of it.
There's so much flip flopping in the media when it comes to the Eagles.
It's such low hanging fruit that I'll give Dan Orlovsky a pass this week.
I usually do give Dan a pass but the thing is, it's weird when he's saying things on ESPN. It's not the same take. Not usually. I mean, there are some times where his takes overlap and they're the same, but usually the takes that he gives on like Pat McAfee's show is not the same he's giving on actual ESPN.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of things that you'll hear on Pat McAfee's show that you won't hear on actual
That's what
ESPN.
I'm saying. That's why I like. That's why the only show on ESPN I will listen to anymore is the Pat McAfee show, because they tell it like it is. They still glaze over a couple of things because they still are employed by ESPN. So it's like, yeah, okay, you can't kind of go there, but for 90%,
they'll go there as much as any show will in recent memory.
Yeah, within reason, within their guidelines. So
yeah, like ESPN Pat McAfee isn't as good as non-ESPN Pat McAfee.
Yeah,
but ESPN Pat McAfee is still better than anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, and that I like. I love that we get to hear from guys who've been in the league, like D-Butt. D-Butt's one of his partners. I love and obviously he played with D. They played together in Indy, so they were teammates. Now they're colleagues, and they're friends. So D-Butt's insight's always really cool. Hearing like AQ Shipley, hearing AJ Hawk, and I loved AJ Hawk. I mean, I loved AJ Hawk as a player. Him and Clay Matthews were the best linebacker duo of our era, maybe at least top three. So, I love them together. And so I love hearing when Hawk, always comes on. I love hearing, one guy I think that in the media that's lost a lot of respect for me. It's not just because of his comments about the Eagles, but it's just how it seems like he's kind of gotten drunk with power, is Adam Schefter. Schefter's lost a lot of weight from me.
Schefter, unfortunately, feels like he kind of went the Ken Rosenthal route, where it just feels like he just fell. I don't want to say fell off per se, but I find him less compelling to seek out. Like he used to be my go-to for everybody's go-to.
Yeah.
For but it just, as time has gone on, it's just like, I don't know. He doesn't have the same zip that he once did.
Like, it's just like, I mean, he does have a lot more responsibilities now than he had, 10 years ago. But it's like, it's just like, the thing is like he's kind of becoming where it's like, okay, you're less of an insider. Now it's like they want you to give takes, and his takes are horrible. His takes are god awful. Like when he was like, oh yeah, like the thing that sent me over the edge. I mean, as Eagles fans, I sent us all over the edge. But was like, oh yeah, the Chiefs lost this game back in March because they didn't ban the tush push. What the heck? What's that got to do with anything? What's that have to do with anything?
I don't even remember hearing that. I probably blocked it out of my mind.
Well, it's like he was talking because he got so angry about it, and I'm like, and now it's becoming like a running joke now that every time the Eagles win a game, when they beat someone,
a running joke.
Well, yeah, but it's just like it takes like that where I'm just like, if what you're saying, you are in a position of power, if what you are saying is nonsensical, don't say it. Like,
Yeah, you've got a megaphone where not everyone is going to think to go and actually try and verify is what you're saying correct, or is it just BS you're spewing for clicks?
yeah, but it's like, it's the one thing where in journalism you learn something where it's and also one of the basics of journalism is it's better to be second and right than first and wrong.
So true, brother. So
Yeah, that is, I think, if you're gonna say there are issues with Adam Schefter, that is the number one issue with Adam Schefter.
yeah, I think so. I mean, because it's like, Schefter reports something, and then an hour later, someone reports something else, and then all of a sudden, Schefter has to revise his post. It's like, yeah, because you were wrong, like, and then the fact that you were wrong for that long and didn't even take it down immediately, knowing you were wrong, is like insanity. But it's like, I like it just irks me because like these are things that you learn the second you step into any, not even journalism, just any media, so journalism, communications, PR, whatever it is. These are the first things you learn when you step into a media-centric classroom. These are things that you've learned since high school. If your high school has those kinds of classes, if they do, mine didn't, but if they do, I know some still do. But so I don't understand like how these people get paid, 6 figures to be so incoherent and wrong. It drives me insane.
Sometimes like it's more than 6 figures. It's sometimes 7 figures.
Yeah.
It's like, or like Stephen A. Smith, does he even have an 8 figure?
I mean, he gets, my God, I know he gets paid insanely.
Or no, wait, no, I think my math might be wrong. I can't count apparently.
I mean, I know he's highly paid. I know Schefter is. I know, like those kinds of guys are. But but they're all loud and wrong. Like it's one thing I can't stand. It's like it's because it flies in the face of why you even entered that career in the first. Why you even want to be a media personality or a journalist. Like these are all things that you are just blatantly violating the code of ethics. That like I used to know a journalist who used to live not too far from me, who worked in this industry in sports media for 40 years, over 40 years. And I read his stuff. I interviewed him for a project I did in college where I did a whole like 2 hour, and it wasn't even like the afterwards. I sat down with him for 2 hours. I recorded the whole conversation. It's still in my computer to this day. I will cherish it forever because he was talking about even people that he had worked for, editors, bosses, what have you, that were saying, oh, you got to do it this way, even though that way was completely wrong. Like, you got to do things this way, you got to do things that way, or we do things this way. And it's like, no, you're wrong. I'm right. I'm doing things by the book that are ethical. You are clearly wrong. Like, I wish people would do this and hold these people on ESPN and other sports journalists who do this kind of crap accountable for when they're wrong. Because if we were wrong at our jobs, at our 9 to 5s or whatever, even part-time jobs we have, if we were wrong that many times, we'd be fired. These people have like diplomatic immunity. It feels like, where it's like they just cannot be touched, no matter how stupid they are or how wrong their takes are.
Yeah, like let's take, just for example, Ryan Clark's take on Shedeur Sanders. Well, or really all of Ryan Clark's takes on Shedeur Sanders. He, when Shedeur Sanders became, like, was put behind Joe Flacco in Cleveland this year, Ryan Clark made it a race thing. Now, when And also, what happened with the Giants is Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback, who is white, Shedeur Sanders is black. So Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback, was put behind a what we thought was a competent veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco, who happened to be white. And then what happened in New York is Jackson Dart, a white quarterback, a white rookie quarterback, was put behind what we thought was a competent veteran black quarterback in Russell Wilson. Neither Russell Wilson nor Joe Flacco turned out to be competent. Mr. Unlimited is actually very limited. But the point is he made it a race thing, but when the races were reversed, the same thing happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like that's another thing too. It's like a lot of people in the industry will they have an agenda. If it doesn't fit their agenda or their motive or their narrative, it's like they just ignore it. It's like, well, you gotta be like fair is fair. You can't, you gotta be even on things. You can't. It's the same thing like when we talk about.
They determine the point they want to get across, and then find what they need to make it get across, no matter what. As opposed to using the facts and then letting that create the story from there.
Yeah, it's like and that's one of the. Here we go. Another journalism thing. One of the things they tell you in this field, another thing that's early on, another journalism 101 is you have to eliminate bias when possible. Like sometimes it can factor in, and that's and sometimes it can't be ignored. But 99% of the time, pretty much, you have to eliminate your bias, because when you don't, you are going to be widely discredited. You're going to be widely, people are not going to take you seriously. And what happens all the time? It's the same thing for these guys. Same thing for Ryan Clark. No one takes that buffoon seriously because he's loud, he's wrong, and he's biased. So, it's just, we can go on and on. There's so many deadly sins that this business, that a lot of these people in this business, that they stumble over every day. But it's just, especially in sports, it's very obvious. And it's, even in politics, no matter what news channel you watch, they've all got very skewed half truths.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I wish people would not take things to heart when it comes to, like, they're good debating points. Like when we talk about, like, certain players and what this, analyst said and what that one said and how we can kind of play off of it. But I take it with a grain of salt. I don't take it as like, oh yeah, this is the definitive, like, this is what everyone should believe. It's like, no, it's like, okay, that's what that person believes, but here's why they're wrong and here's why they're right. Like, it's like, you got to look at it from that lens. You can't look at it and go, oh, I'm going to make, this analyst's opinion or this anchor's opinion my whole personality. That's just not how humanity should work.
No.
So, like, and unfortunately, a lot of people do. And I know it's turning into a whole journalism and ethics discussion, but it is what it is.
But there are so many instances of it, people of just like fake news, and like also even in other fields. Like I'm a history person. I'm big on history. Mm-hmm. There's a whole thing that I call fake history, where it's just like you have a political agenda And you're just like saying things that aren't true.
Yeah, and that makes sense because you always got the things where people say history often repeats itself. So if you look back to history to prove a point, it makes sense. Like it's just we a lot of people often forget like the basis of how things come to be. Like like you're sitting there talking about history and like how that's important to understand. Going back to how people kind of look at it now. The whole fake history thing. And the same thing in journalism for me for being a media major, where it's like the basics and building blocks of journalism have gone out the window. And I'm like, I don't see many people following, those things that they were taught in school, and also just on how to be just completely like ethical. There's so many things, like there's a movie called Nightcrawler. And you want to talk about like unethical journalism? That is the perfect movie for unethical journalism with Jake Gyllenhaal. And like movies like that, they literally make my blood boil when I see, certain lines getting crossed that should not be crossed. And it's when I watch, all these sports people, I'm like, how are you like? Do people just like being, do people just like having this is why we're talking about the whole Yankees and Cashman and Boone, like having your intelligence insulted. As fans, they must think we're really dumb to hear so many of the same things over and over again. It's like, or to hear them like say like lie about injuries and whatnot. It's like, you don't insult our intelligence. Give it to me straight. And I feel like that's just not a sports thing. Just we as a society just need that. Too many people just don't tell the truth anymore because they're afraid to. When honestly, in the end, the truth is better off than lying to people, or just smiling in the face and stabbing them in the back, or So it's a cool kind of world that we've kind of been stuck in. It is what it is.
Well, on that note, Jay, do you have anything to add on?
No, I did not.
Are you okay? Are you
Listen,
okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
I could have kept going. Listen, I can go all day about the problems I see in journalism.
I'm guessing that Jay and Greg. I know that everybody's got places to go, and I appreciate those who stuck on with us this past hour and almost 2 hours. Let's go around. We'll get some final statements as we'll say. And I'll start with Jay. Is there any? We talked Yankees. We talked a little Eagles and NFC East. Is there anything? You've got the floor to kind of take us out for the close here.
I was just gonna say, hey, Mariners to win it all. Book it.
Oh, I hope so.
I support that. I didn't want the Mariners to make the CS just because, again, whatever idiot might make the argument that Cal Raleigh is MVP. Yes, we know that MVP is a regular season award because we're intelligent people. However, that's not the case for every person. So I didn't want the Mariners to make the CS because then people would be like, oh, Cal Raleigh got further than Aaron Judge. He should be MVP. And it's like, your take is bad and you should feel bad. And that's not how it works. But now that the Mariners are actually in the CS, I want to see them win.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm the same way. Like I don't care, what Cal Raleigh does at this point because we all know that the MVP has been long voted for by now. So, now I'm just like, yeah. And honestly, if it's them or the Blue Jays, we know we're picking the Mariners.
Of
Come on.
course.
Oh yeah. Well, most of us know that.
Well,
and the thing about Cal Raleigh, I said some negative things about Cal Raleigh. I do not dislike Cal Raleigh.
Me neither.
Me either.
Someone
Yeah, I don't.
someone I know who I'm really close with, her nephew plays for the Mariners, and supposedly Cal Raleigh is just the nicest person.
Oh, that's good. That's
What
good to
I
know.
heard is that Cal
I'm
Raleigh
jealous.
is just like the nicest person.
That's awesome. I won't ask you to. I won't ask you to drop a name on here, but I will be curious to ask you after the show.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, I had. Well, I'll say for both sides. I had the Brewers as my World Series pick, although unfortunately in my bracket I had Yankees Brewers. I had blind faith.
I think I did. I think I had the same teams.
Yeah, God, and for the sake of our Seattle buddies and Rob and Shane, I wish it would have been a Yankees Mariners ALCS.
That was the ALCS we deserved.
Yeah,
But the Blue Jays, the most fraudulent team in the history of baseball, they just fumbled into. They were good against one team all season. One team, a
yeah,
team that was better than them.
yeah. It doesn't make it every team. I mean, this, and I'll say this because I've seen this kind of narrative online, but I'm starting to feed into it. The more I watch, baseball, I'm like, every team treats the Yankees like it's the World Series, like it's their World Series. Like,
Because
there's guys that'll hit like 210 with like a 600 OPS. Like against every other team. But when they play the Yankees, it's like a 280 average with a 795 OPS and 15 home runs. And it's
Well,
like.
I want to respond to that real quick.
Yeah.
I wish that we were doing that because yes, I see that. I see teams playing us like, oh, we're playing the Yankees. We got to show up. Why are we not playing? We are the Yankees. Why are we not playing 162 freaking games like that?
Yeah. It makes me so angry. And the thing is, so it's like the Blue Jays literally don't play like that against any other team. If you've watched any Blue Jays baseball, they don't pitch like that against any other team. They don't hit like that against any other team. It's literally just the Yankees. Like it just.
Is it that these other teams respect the pinstripes more than the Yankees?
Oh, geez, that's a conversation.
These other teams have more respect for the Yankees than the Yankees do.
No. They're just playing us and we're not playing well.
It's that typical, like how many times do we say every year, the only team that can beat the Yankees is the Yankees, and the Yankees always end up beating the Yankees.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I remember going back to May, June. Somebody, I think it was Kenny, asked us, who are you concerned about beating the Yankees most in the AL? And I think Brandon and I both said I think it was before Jay was even on here. But Brandon and I think we both said the Yankees.
Yeah. And you know why? Because if literally just not even 1 through 9, if even just 2 more hitters show up, around Aaron Judge, it's a
Here's
whole
the thing. We'll see. Here's the thing. I would even go a step beyond that. I would say not just that. I would say if we don't actively make, it's not just about doing things, it's not giving them extra outs. If we just don't give them more extra outs like we keep doing, then it's
looking at you, Josh Chisholm.
All right, what do you think of this take? When Soto left, everybody said Plan B, Plan B, Plan B. And then people said, oh, Plan B was better than Soto. It was not. In the playoffs, there were 3 players the Yankees got to as their Plan B to pivot off of Soto. Those 3 players were Max Fried, Cody Bellinger, and Devin Williams. How many of those 3 players played well in the postseason? One of them.
And probably the one we expected the least.
Yeah.
Yes. Of those 3 players who were like the pivot off of Soto, one of them played well in the playoffs.
You just out of curiosity, you wouldn't throw Paul Goldschmidt into that mix?
Oh yeah, I would put Paul Goldschmidt in that mix, but he didn't. I don't think he played well in the playoffs either.
I didn't say that to mean that he played particularly well. I was just thinking as like I still see him as somebody that we don't necessarily get if we bring in Soto. But I think other than that, I think that's a really honest and solid take about the fact that like you said, the guys that we ultimately got as the quote unquote plan B that did for a while look like it was better than because we all said, if it weren't for Soto, we don't get, like you said, we don't get Williams, we don't get Bellinger, we don't get Fried, and those guys got us to the playoffs. But Bellinger and Fried got us to the playoffs at least.
Well, we did. The one advantage we did get over it with getting them over Soto is better defense. We got better defense out of it.
But here's the thing that bothered me about Soto this year. And when I say bothered me, I mean that I was disappointed to see from afar. When did he randomly become a 38 base stealer?
Yeah, like what is that? What is that?
Like, what the hell? Like, I can almost like if we had gotten that last year without I can almost look past the not great defense if I'm getting both home runs and steals from him.
And I mean, and last year we got a lot of bad base running out of him too.
Can you look past the bad defense if you're getting both home runs and steals from Jazz Chisholm?
So here's what I'll say is, for me, it wasn't even just the bad, because I don't think he's a bad defender. It was the attitude in big moments. That was the that was what frustrated me more. The fact that it resulted bad defensively. Like I always say to people, in sports, there's a difference between process and results. And why does Jay keep doing that?
I think he's just toast for the night.
Oh, good night, brother.
I don't even know if he is, but
I mean that would make sense. But anyway, I don't think it's entirely a fair argument, because I'll put it this way. In fairness to Soto, I didn't watch Soto that much this year when he did field, so I don't know if it was an effort thing. I don't know if I don't know what it was. But the fact, what the hell?
No, I'm just I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be on. No,
okay,
I mean
okay,
I am gonna be on
back.
longer. I just
So to try and give a quick answer to your question, which I don't think I've ever been able to successfully do in the 88 episodes of the show.
Nope.
To give a quick answer to your question, I see it differently, because it wasn't just the poor defense in big moments at the end of the season. It was the poor effort that I saw that led to the bad defense, because I saw him play good defense through a good chunk of the year.
well, the only thing is, but I think the thing with Soto versus Jazz, Soto works counting as a consistent hitter. Like Jazz is streaky. I feel like he goes on runs where he plays really well, where he hits really well at the plate for 3, 4, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it is. Then he goes to stretches where it's just like it's another really bad hitting. So it's Soto. I mean, and Jazz is not doing what Soto did for us in that Cleveland series where he fouled off all those pitches and then smashed them to basically win it. Jazz is not doing that.
No. All right. Anyway, I think that people here, both watching and on the other side of the camera, I think are ready to put remaining thoughts into the column for next week. I want to say.
Could I just say one thing?
What's up, Greg?
All right. So this was, I just wanted to say it. Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo remind me of my dogs.
Yeah, you said that before. Can you please explain that again?
All right. So you haven't met my dogs, so you don't know what I'm referring to. But just like my dogs are very aggressive in terms of defending the. They're very territorial.
Yeah.
So they will like whenever like even a car just like goes by, they will like start barking very loudly, start banging on the glass. One time in our old house, they actually broke the glass. Like broke the window. Um, Actually, I don't think this was one time. I think this might have been twice. And there will be times where they'll just like start screaming like Cam Scatterby does.
Oh my god.
Like you know how did you see that thing that was like the press conference was being done and you just hear from the background a scream just like he's screaming in the background and they're like what was that and whoever it was being interviewed was just like oh that's just scat being scat.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just like I feel like Jackson Dart is the same way. I think they're speed running CTE. I think they're speed running CTE. I think they may already have CTE. Just like who knows, but just it's a lot of you Eagles fans like don't know what it's like, but being a Giants fan is a lot of fun right now. Just like it's not necessarily good, but it's
We
fun.
don't know what it's like.
We don't know what fun is.
We don't know what it is to have fun. We've been having fun for the last year.
Did you not
What do you mean?
watch February 9th? You don't. You've had a lot of good takes on this show. That was easily the biggest flop that I
No,
saw.
no, I didn't say being an Eagles fan isn't fun. I said you don't know what type of fun it is being a Giants fan.
What?
Like
No, that's correct. We know better one.
it's a different.
The Super Bowl was literally the day after my birthday. That's the most fun I've had. Aging. I was actually that was the last time I was happy this year.
All right, what I will say is I've never been skydiving, but people say skydiving is fun. And I would imagine being a Giants fan is fun in the same way skydiving is fun.
Well, I guess because
I never want to go skydiving. That's
I have no clue.
That's why people.
Well,
I imagine
One of those
skydiving.
wonderful activities I will not
No,
never
like-
engage in.
No, like it's just like chaos and scary, but apparently people say it's fun.
So is tripping acid.
or Aaron Rodgers and ayahuasca.
Yeah.
We are not advocating for illicit drug use on this show.
I guess not.
But Kenny says you're telling Greg go Giants. Eagles fans and media want Hurts benched. Who?
The only Eagles fans I've seen that want Hurts benched are the delusional ones that just keep rage baiting every single year since Hurts got drafted that he sucks. Those are the only ones I see that actually want him benched.
I don't know what Eagles fans you've been talking to, but they don't sound like actual Eagles fans, for lack of a better word. I hate using that phrase, but like I don't know what Eagles fans you're saying want Hurts benched, but yeah, I speak to a lot of Eagles fans on a week-to-week basis, and none that I've interacted with. Tush push won't work with Tanner McKee. Excuse me, sorry.
Okay, we don't have to find out right now.
Yeah.
The thing about Hurts is he wins. It's not pretty, but he wins. The first game where Dart was the quarterback, and he threw for 110 yards, but the Giants won. I was like, Dart reminds me of Jalen Hurts.
Well, Jackson Dart did say himself that he modeled his game after Jalen Hurts.
That makes that all tracks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kenny
I
said,
would say the two players that Jackson Dart reminds me of most are Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield.
I think that's fair. I can see it.
Like, but the advantage that Jackson Dart has over Baker Mayfield is the size. He's like the things that Baker Mayfield absolutely, we were discussing this before, like the way he steps to a defender that he absolutely should not be doing. Even at Jackson Dart's size, yeah, he probably shouldn't be doing it, but it's at least more reasonable than Baker Mayfield doing it.
Greg, Kenny said to you, you come on our Giants show, we'll have a lot of fun. So you've got an invite now from there.
Awesome.
And with that, I will say, I am going to say we'll part for the night here. But Greg, we'll have you back on again very soon. Look forward to seeing you next time. And thanks again for great baseball takes, very thought provoking insight as usual. And of course, Jay, good to have you back. Brandon, as always. Brandon, I'll see you in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And for those who haven't seen, catch us on Football After Hours via Millions. And over with Coach Shane Hansen and our buddy Rob Shazlowski. So with that, see y'all next week. Same Scoop time, same Scoop channel, Scoop.